Once again, I've found an answer to the age-old question, why do you speak out against religious thinking so much, SR? Well, because just weeks ago, Toomaj Salehi was sentenced to death by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Toomaj's crime? Using his music to highlight the atrocities of the Islamic regime and rejecting an ideology full of hate. Toomaj has been known to advocate for such radical things as the right to free expression, the right to free thought, and the right to actually have a say in the government that makes laws that affect you. And for this immovable focus on human rights, Toomaj was told he was spreading corruption, and the only acceptable punishment is his death. This backwards and intolerable decision was made because of a death-loving cult, an ideology that hates joy and freedom, and a belief that lies and brutality are better than truth and reconciliation. The battle we fight as atheists is a global fight, and it is not even close to over. Fannie Lou Hamer said it best, nobody's free until everybody's free. And we are not safe until Toomaj is safe. And our fight is not over until this never happens again. The world will hear Toomaj's voice, and until he is free, we should lift ours. So if you think we spend too much time talking about the harms of religion, well, you can put us in our place by calling, because the show is starting right now. Woo! Welcome, everybody. Today is May 26th, 2024, and I am your host, Secular Rarity, and joining me today is a man I always love to hang out with, Armin Navabi. What is up?
Hi, I missed being here. I missed doing this show with you. It's been a while. But before we say anything, I really want to thank you for that opening. That was so good, and I'm so glad that you said it, because it was so beautiful and it was so powerful, and it's so much needed right now, because this, if you keep bringing up Toomaj, and again, people, please go look up Toomaj Salehi, because your attention to this might actually save his life. So I just really want to thank you for bringing him up and bringing more attention to it from this platform. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, man. I'm always happy to to talk about things like that. I mean, not happy is not the right word, obviously, right? I'm happy to highlight and spread the message of the truly brave people, right, that are doing the actual work. I mean, how many times a day, have you and I been told, oh my gosh, thank you so much for all that you do. And we are really appreciative of that. Like, don't get me wrong, it means the world to us. It's what allows us to keep going. But people like Toomaj are the ones that we're doing it for. People like Toomaj are the ones that are really making a difference. So it's important. It's important that we all know. But I know that you had a quick message you wanted to give too, to everyone out there.
No, it was just highlighting exactly this, and I just want you guys to I don't want to take the focus away from this. I just want everybody to, if you're inspired by what Elliot just said, please just go look this up, Toomaj Salehi, and then post something about it, right? It doesn't take any money, it doesn't take much effort, but we have seen that your attention to this actually works. A lot of people call these keyboard warriors and like meaningless, but we have seen social media pressure leads to mainstream media pressure, leads to political pressure, and we have examples of this working. To be fair, we have also examples of it not working, but we have examples of both. Like when it comes to the Islamic Republic of Iran, under international pressure, there has been people's lives that has been saved, because the Iranian regime does care about its international image and does care about the pressure that it experiences from the global community. So if you go and look this up, and there are hashtags associated with it. One of them is Toomaj Salehi, the other one is Free Toomaj. And if you post about it, and if you want to do more, you could contact your representatives and tell them that this matters to you, and that will have a huge impact. Okay, and this is a person that is one of the heroes of our time. if you go look up his story, you will quickly understand how brave this man is and how much he has done for the sake of other people's freedom, and he has risked everything. So the least we could do for him is to just mention his name and make a post about him. So please consider doing that. Thank you. Sorry, that went too long.
No, it was great, man. It was great, and I love it. Honestly, it's definitely spreading secular humanism and critical thinking, which is a big part of the mission here. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, now you will, because the Atheist Experience is a product of the atheist community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. So all good things, all good things. We are very, very proud to be in support of. And again, if you think we're talking about that stuff just too much, if you think, gosh, SR, gosh, Armin, you talk too much about critical thinking and secular humanism, well, please feel free to call the number on the screen below, because I will gladly convince you of the opposite there, because I don't think you can talk too much about that. But good news is we've got a bunch of calls already filling up, and we still have open lines. But before we grab those, we have got to give you the results of last week's Share Your Experience question of the week. I am always so happy when we get to do this segment, Armin, because our audience is a bunch of wacky people just like us. And it's great to know that we're not alone. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we go there, I just want to make a quick apology. On the last show that I was on, I used ableist language, and some people pointed that out, and I just wanted to apologize. But I also wanted to thank the people who contacted us and mentioned that. So I apology, and also a thank you for pointing that out.
Heck yeah, I love that, man. I'm always happy to take an opportunity to say, look, hey, we made a mistake, and thank you for helping us stay honest. That's what this community is all about. So I absolutely love that, man. And now we are going to get to hear more from that wonderful community, because last week we asked you, why did God really go non-contact with people? Okay, so our number 3 answer from X Million: God went no contact after mom told him that she was pregnant with me. Oh man. Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, I could see that. You know, it did. The Holy Spirit left pretty quick around that time. Jesus was coming around. What's up with that, man? The Son comes, and then the Father and the Holy Spirit disappear. I don't know. Maybe it not a great father figure. Okay, number 2. Seize the bidet, which, by the way, what an awesome name. What a very good choice for a name. Seize the bidet. Why did God go no contact with people? Because they started asking really good questions he doesn't want to answer. Yeah, that's true. Isn't that in the Quran, where like they ask Muhammad a bunch of questions and then he pisses off for like 2 weeks, and they're like, dude, where'd you go? And he's like, oh, my bad, I forgot to say inshallah, like, is that, or is that a hadith?
Not that, but that's not in the Quran, but it should be added there. I like that story. I don't know where it's going.
I swear that's in the hadiths, right? He went to like they asked him a bunch of questions, he couldn't answer them, so he like just disappears for like a week or. We'll look this up.
If it is somewhere, it must be in the hadith, because the Quran only mentions Muhammad 4 times by name, and it never it doesn't ever go into deep stories about him. It must be in the hadith.
It's gotta be. We will find this. We will find this.
Yeah.
I will find this for the after show, because I swear I remember that story, and just remember thinking like, wow, dude, what a crap answer. Yeah. No good answers. No good answers to the questions. Well, number 1 from last week, Timothy Cook, USMC retired, saying, why did God really go no contact with people? Have you even seen people? And that's honestly, you know what? That's fair. I feel you on that, Tim. I do indeed.
God's side, eh?
Yeah. Like God made all of us, and then was like, what the fuck did I do? Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Oh my God. Yeah, I can see it, man. Which brings up the wonderful question for all the theists out there, by the way. I'll gladly take this opportunity. Why did God create anything to begin with? Perfect being, it's a great question, right? It's like, brings up. Yeah.
I have a good answer for that. If I was a theist,
all right, what would you say?
What
would you say?
What's the point of being perfect if there's nobody observing its perfection?
Well, it sounds like you have a detriment. Is then if the perfection requires being seen, then that sounds like the perfection has a detriment and therefore is not perfect by definition.
No, because the observer was always there from the beginning. Like there was no time that there were no observer, so it was always part of it. So it was always perfect.
So the perfect being had composed within itself the ability to revere and praise itself. Is that that just sounds like a fucking
there's
narcissist.
always God comes de facto with an observer for it to appreciate his perfection.
All right, you know
so it's
what?
Always complete.
God believers out there, if you liked Armin's answer or you think it was really wrong, why not call in and talk about it? Because we have open
I
lines.
just made that up. I don't know. I could make something else up. If you want.
I know that's basically the way all religions have come to be. It's just like, I don't know. Let me just figure this off the top of my head. But
yeah, I mean, when you're not limited by reality, your imagination is just
It doesn't have to actually make sense, just as long as it sounds nice. Okay, well, before the producers radically rethink their decision to let us on this show again, Armin, I've got another question, and for all you folks in the audience out there, you know what to do. Get your comments in the comment section below this video, and we will pick our top 3, and then you'll watch next week to see what the answers are. But Armin, I'm going to ask you first. What is Jesus's secret hobby? Yeah.
I mean, it has to be running a secret underground wine business. Like, how could it not be that?
He's a bootlegger. No? Jesus is a bootlegger.
I mean, if you can make water into why wouldn't it would be a crime not to take advantage of that opportunity if you could. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm into it, man. I'm into it.
What kind of wine comes out of Jesus's miracles? Is it like a Shiraz, or is it like, I don't know?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
It's an important question.
I feel like it's always portrayed as like a Merlot or something, but because it's always like that consistency, and color. Yeah. Even Kelly, our backup host, is like, it's kind of. Yeah. It's never like it's never something like a rosé or a white Zinfandel or something.
No.
It's never. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I think Jesus as Al Capone is probably one of the best answers we are going to get for that. So if you have a better answer to what is Jesus's secret hobby, get it in the comments below, and then check out next week right at the beginning, because your answer might be picked. And another way you can get your name highlighted or your thoughts read out, as long as they're appropriate, is by sending in a super chat, which we've already got some wonderful people that have sent in some super chats. Like, for instance, the wonderful Rainbow Wolf, always hanging around. Thank you so much. Sending in $5 saying, humanity doesn't need salvation from sin. It needs salvation from the belief in sin. Thank you, hosts and staff, past, present, for helping with this goal. Well, thank you, Rainbow, because seriously, every time you donate like that, that really goes a long freaking way. It helps a lot. And it's just really good to have you in the community. I love seeing our regulars out there. Just like this person, Isaiah S., sending us $5 saying, could God make a sandcastle so impressive that even Satan wouldn't want to smash it? And I can tell you, I have seen some pretty fucking incredible sandcastles in my life. And it literally makes me rethink everything that I've done up until then. It's like, what have I done with my life that I cannot create a sandcastle this impressive? So yeah, I think it's very possible. God is all powerful and all. Armin, you want to take some calls? You want to get some calls? We got a few.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, right. There's another super chat that you missed, though.
Oh, no. That one, no. That one, don't worry about that. But we are going to go down to Florida and possibly back in time a little bit, because we are talking to Moses himself. wants to tell us a little bit about God and so forth. And that is what we are here for, Moses. So, hey, you were chatting up with SR and Armin. What is going on?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Feeling all right. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's hot, but we doing all right.
Yeah, Miss Florida. But yeah, what you got for us? It says the truth of God is hidden in our lives. What?
Right. But I was gonna say, Jesus' favorite hobby is to fish, man. Fish for those that are lost and seeking.
Yeah, but I see that. Not as funny as some of the other comments, but no, I get that. No, it's right though. It's there. All right, what you got for us, Moses?
So, I'm just kind of going off the top, but basically, I feel led to kind of come on this show because I know it's really hard because obviously your guys' thing is, killing every possible hint or little seed of truth. But basically, I just wanted to come and share that our lives itself is sort of a manifestation of the truth of God. I wanted to ask you guys too, because it seems like the atheist community kind of you guys kind of separate yourself from, like, I guess anything that's spiritual or emotional. Like, do you guys even like consider yourselves to have feelings, or like, do you guys even feel love in any type?
Yeah. I think those are some good things for us to jump off of. I'll go in reverse order first, because I do have a question about what you said about like God's truth, like being in our lives and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'll give you this. Okay, I'll give you this one, Moses, which is, I think definitely in the past there have been some individuals that have had really prominent places, publicly speaking, when it came to promoting atheism or skepticism or agnosticism or just non-religious whatever, right? That have really done a disservice to a huge part of what it means to be a person. In fact, it's funny enough, I was literally just talking about this earlier today with some buddies. And yeah, humans are emotional. And emotions are important, and personal anecdotes are important. All of these things actually really, really matter, and we should care about them. Emotions and personal anecdotes aren't good arguments. They're not good reasons to override the data and the evidence in front of us, right? But they are important aspects of being a person, right? And so, yeah, I think there have been some folks out there in the past that have been like, emotions, rah, just logic and reason. But there's also been a lot of really cool people that have done a really good job of talking about how important those things are in terms of secular humanism, skepticism, critical thinking, atheism, separation of religion and government, all that stuff, And I would just say, I tend to like those people and their points a little bit better. So yeah, I'd say, okay, maybe sure, a little bit, some people, some in the past, yeah. But I don't think that's where a lot of people are now. And I don't think that's really where kind of the movement, I guess, as whatever kind of entity that is going. But real quick, before we go any further, I want to go back to what you said first, because that was really interesting to me. You said something about how like the truth of God is manifested in like how we live our lives and stuff. I don't know what that means. How does us living our lives show the truth of God? What happens to me on a daily basis that demonstrates God's real?
Okay, all right. I'll answer that question. I do want later on. I do want to touch back on the whole emotional subject.
Yeah. I want to get Armin's thoughts on that. So yeah, we'll circle back to that for sure.
All right. So basically, as I don't even want to use the word Christian, but as somebody who believes that Jesus is the Messiah, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life, we kind of tend to think that, we kind of look at it as some type of very religious, and we have to read this Bible and do this and do that, and then we can go to heaven or we'll be good people. But if we understand that the Bible, Christ himself, the Holy Spirit, it's the whole world we live in is a spiritual world. So when I say that our lives itself is a manifestation of what God is, I'm saying that our stories, our lives we're walks of of this, of trying to find God, trying to understand who God is. So basically, like, how is your life a manifestation of God, right? So let me ask you this: if somebody said they don't believe in Santa, if somebody doesn't believe in ghosts, would they be up every day looking for ghosts and looking for Santa? Like,
Maybe.
just the fact that
Yes.
you have a podcast
Maybe.
trying to
Wait, hang on though. Do you see how somebody could wake up every single day and spend hours and hours of their free time like searching for ghosts, even though they actively don't believe in ghosts? Could you think of any scenario whatsoever? Just quick yes or no, because I have one just right off the top of my head.
Yes. I can think of a scenario, but it wouldn't make sense to spend most of your life looking for a ghost if you just genuinely don't believe ghosts.
What if five people that were very close to you, grew up with you and your sister, your younger sister that you love and care so much,
right?
Those 5 people really fucking believed ghosts are real and they murdered your sister because of it. Could you conceive of a reason that individual might go, I'll spend every waking fucking moment of my life to ensure that never happens again to any other human being? I could.
Can I give an example?
Yeah,
Can I give an example?
Please jump in. Hang on, Moses.
So Moses, okay, imagine if your mother told you that there's a boogeyman under your bed, okay, and if you misbehave, it will one day come out and it will eat your eyes, okay? And this has traumatized you all your life, and your mom has been lying to you, right? And it has become such a deep part of your belief system. And it has ruined your life so much that now you're on a hunt to figure out if your mom has lied to you or whether or not there's actually a boogeyman under your bed to be able to, maybe cure yourself from this trauma that your mom has inflicted upon you, right? So there is no boogeyman under the bed, but you are actively now going and trying to figure out whether this boogeyman is real or not. So you going out on a hunt for this doesn't show that there's a boogeyman under the bed. Is that right?
You're right, exactly.
Okay.
What I would say.
So that's not a good reason. So that's not a good reason for there being a God.
Can I continue?
Yeah, please.
Yes, of course. Go ahead. Of course, yes.
Fables, myths, and stories, for the most part, usually stem from some type of root, right? So if my mom is telling me there's a boogeyman under my bed, there's a reason. It's either she's trying to instill a truth in me, she's trying to train me, or she's trying to instill a fear.
She might just find it convenient way to control your behavior. Yeah. It just might have utility for her.
Right. Let's say that really what your mom was trying to do was instill that, hey, once I tell you to go to bed, go to bed, because sleep is really good for you and it's a way to stay healthy. And as a 6-year-old, you don't really get that. Like, what if that really is the reason? Well, couldn't mom have accomplished that in a better way that's less harmful than outright lying about this boogeyman?
Well, here's the thing. The nature of the human, we're sinful, we're disobedient, and we're people that just don't like to listen. Which is why I said there's spiritual truths in the Bible.
That's not true.
The Bible,
Moses, that's not true. We're as social animals. Humans are mostly followers.
Yeah.
We don't actually. We are actually innately we have desires to follow the pack.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's always
most of us. Some of us
in the pack.
Yes, sure. That's true. We have some. Yeah, you're right. The ratio. So we call those. Hold on, Moses, those are the black sheep. That's actually serves a utility. Just like in the evolution of genes, most genes don't mutate, but some of them do, and there's some utility in that. When it comes to the evolution of cultures and society and tribes, the evolution of memes, right? It makes sense for most people, for most humans to be follower, with a small percentage of a black sheep of people who rebel, just in case there are better ways of doing things, right? So there are people who rebel, but most people, their brains are wired to just follow, unquestionably.
And I agree with Armin's pushback. Hang on just a second, Moses. I agree where Armin was pushing back just a second ago, where you just made this real quick blanket judgment on all people, and we're just like, we're just evil, we're just sinful at our hearts, like we don't care, we don't want to work with you. Like, I really just don't think that's true. And I think that is oftentimes used as an easy way to hand wave away good, legitimate objections to what religious people are saying. And because like, hey, you know what? Actually, I have to do this. I have to lie to you. I have to beat you. I have to say all these horrible things and make fun of you because you're just so bad otherwise, I just think that's BS, man.
Yeah, actually, Moses, listen to what Elliot just said. That's very important. Okay, one of the harms of religion is the way it looks at humanity. Like the reason why humanism is so much superior to religion is the celebratory view that it has over humans, over us as human beings, right? Yeah. But religions often look at human beings as disgusting, as something worthy of shame and disgust and condemnation, and it's not helpful. I mean, it's very helpful to rulers, just like your mom in the scenario that we came up with was using this boogeyman to control you. These types of narratives are very, very helpful to people who want to rule over you, to make you feel like you don't deserve that whatever bad happens to you is because of your own actions. So it makes them less responsible for what happens to you. It also makes you more, more probable to actually listen to what they say, because they are people of God, people chosen by God, or gods themselves, or so that's the utility. But the cost of that, the benefit is that you will be able to be controlled more easily, but the cost is that you will have much lower sense of self-worth. I mean, look at how you talk about yourself. The way you're talking about you humans, that includes you, and you consider yourself to be sinful and evil. So your own sense of self-worth is being damaged because of it. But if you actually hop over to humanism or from religion, then you actually, this is a much healthier way of looking at humanity and its potential and yourself.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay,
go ahead, Moses.
But so you guys don't agree that if you guys don't agree, then I believe we should change course. But you guys don't believe that humans, that we have, I'm not even gonna mention Satan or the devil. I'm just gonna say humans. You don't believe that in our flesh that we crave evil things and we have evil desires and wrongdoing. Like even in this conversation so far.
Hang on right there, Moses, because I think that's really good. Exactly think about the way you framed that, and think about Armin's response right there. It was one word: potential. You're saying we crave it. You're saying it's innate within us. There's nothing we can do. It will always be there. And what Armin and I are saying is, hey, we recognize that people can do some really bad things, man. But it's not something that's so innate in us that every free second that we as human beings have, we want to find a way to do these disgusting, evil things. No, it's just a potential that humans have, just like we have the potential to do all of the incredible things that all three of us know people do every day, right? So it's not this innate craving that you see from your perspective. From the humanist side, it's this is a problem that we need to make sure we put safeguards up against, which is why we go for things like critical thinking and skepticism and, so talking to experts and stuff.
Now, so I'm just going to take this back biblically. That's really what the whole story of the Garden of Eden was. We are good. We were made perfect. But that potential, that small potential, which is Satan, the serpent, created evil. And now we are all under this evil and destructive world.
So that's the problem, Moses. That's the problem, because you're looking at the potential was before, and now we have lost it. We are sinful. We are disgusting. We are worthless, right? But our narrative says that we have the potential now. So we have the potential to be bad and do harm, and we have the potential to create now. It's not back when the Garden of Eden. It's right now. So when you accept that potential, with that, we could do some. Look at the defeatist attitude you have towards humans right now. That crushes our potential, because you're looking at us and you're disgusted by it. But if you look, and also you might go to the other extreme, like thinking that everybody is good all the time. But the more the logical way of looking at it is that we have the potential to be bad and we have the potential to do good, and that would be the most productive way to look at it, because it gives us agency, because it puts us in control on which direction we will go, and also which direction on this world, right? rather than like trying, because this based on Christianity and Abrahamic religions, we should just give up on this world. We're like,
Right.
ever since we ate the apple, it's screwed. But we have to just work for the next one. And if there is no next one, then all your calculations are wrong. And this world was the only one that we had, the only chance that we had to be happy and live prosperous lives. And with the understanding that we could be potentially bad and potentially good, then we will make better actions, make better decisions that will lead into better emotions, better feelings. You started with do we believe in feelings? The whole point of all of this is to achieve better feelings.
Right.
Like we use logic, yes, but what's the point of using logic? Is to achieve better feelings. But go on.
I agree with you. I agree. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. But you guys are just trying to make it
Not really.
humans or something. That's literally what I've been saying from the beginning, right?
No,
from this whole
no, no, Moses, that's not what you have been saying from the beginning. You considered us cursed and sinful, and our good old days was in the Garden of Eden. I'm saying our good old day, there's no good old, our best days are in the future. Our best days was not in the past. Our best days in the future, because we have agency and we could be better. We're not sinful, disgusting, cursed creatures. We are actually we are amazing. I mean, look at what we have done. Look at how much humans achieved with so little.
I understand what you're saying, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying. Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
What makes you so positive and believe that there's better to come in the future? Is that not a religious?
All the progress we've made.
That's within you?
No, not in the slightest. No.
Look at our record.
Yeah, Moses, all we literally have to do is think about like 5 years ago. Like that's all we have to do. Like I don't know about you and your personal life, right? But I can tell you for a fact 5 years ago, the technology that I'm using casually right now in my everyday life did not exist. Like 20 years ago, definitely did not. Did you know there was a period of time in which all medically necessary, okay, not just for funsies' sake, medically necessary surgery was involuntary? Did you know that? That the way that you had surgery for a really long time was a bunch of people just walked into the room with a sharp fucking object and then grabbed you and said, sorry. And then that happened. We volunteer for surgery. We plan it out now. Because we have made so much incredible progress, man. So like, yeah, I mean, if we just project that into the future, it's very obvious to see how it could be so much better. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I very highly doubt Armin is going to say it's definitely 100% going to be like that. I definitely don't think that. And I bet Armin would probably agree with a statement like this, which is, unless we safeguard the things that have brought us so much progress today, the future will not be like that. Unless we continue to fight for the values that have allowed all of this amazing, casual, mundane awesomeness in the world around us, unless we fight for that, the future won't be like that. So I don't think this is a faith-based thing at all. I don't think this is a spiritual thing. This is just looking at the cold, hard data, baby.
Yeah, it's induction reasoning. So obviously the answers of induction would not be certain, like 100%.
Yeah, it's
not like a deductive argument. Yeah, but like look at our record. Let me just give you our record, okay? So look at how much less violent the world has become, right? I mean, if you go look at the stats, I know it sounds like the world is violent, but this is the most peaceful, most prosperous time that we have ever lived in, if you actually compare it to what was before. Just recently, in the past few years, we managed to, with much sooner than so many people expected, we dropped to less than 10% extreme poverty around the world, sooner than most of the
That's incredible.
Economists ever. Yeah, and we managed to get to, not just percentage-wise, but also total number-wise, we are at the lowest rate of extreme poverty in the world. That is an unbelievable success. And if everything goes the same way it has for the past, I don't know, 10 to 12,000 years, which is the history of civilization, unless something extreme happens, it seems like we're just going to keep going in that direction at an accelerating speed. Like, it's not just that we're getting better, but we're also getting better faster. But go on.
Right, I agree. All right, I believe in your. Okay, so from the beginning of this conversation, we both agreed that there's a potential for humans to do evil. We both agreed that.
You were more on the side of it's a
agreed that-
guarantee, but that's okay.
Okay, the potential.
We can move forward.
Okay, we're agreeing with potential now. We both agree there's a potential. We both agree that the future is we would have a hope for the future to be better, and we both agree that you guys would say the world, or Armin just said that the world is in a better place than it has been, and literally that's what I'm coming here to say. That's what Christ is preaching, right? That there's sin.
Yeah, but there's a big problem with the message that was preached and then what actually happens on the ground, Moses. Like I'm not here to go through every little line that supposedly Jesus said, right? Because I think if you and I are being really honest, we really don't know for sure what Jesus said, but let's just move past that, okay? Let's just say all the red letter text, definitely 100% what Jesus said. The problem is that even though when some of the believers tell me that Jesus was preaching these things that you are saying, Elliot, Armin, he says how wonderful the world could be, and that's all Jesus was really getting at. The problem is when I read his words, I hear the defeatist attitude in humanity that Armin pointed out earlier. I hear the absolute belief of depravity and the fact that there is no way we will ever change. We will, until the day we die, miss the mark in God's eyes. I see that. And not only do I see that terrible messaging from Jesus, but I see the consequences of when people live their lives supposedly in the way that Jesus said to live. I see it too much. And yes, there are good believers out there. There are people who do wonderful things and will forever be incredible pillars of their community, and they love and follow Jesus Christ. And there are fucking absolute atrocious, horrible people in that same boat. And the problem is not for the non-religious to figure out and say, oh, which way works and which doesn't. The problem is for the believer who says, this is my data, SR. This is what I point to when I tell you that Jesus Christ's message is the truth and the way and the light. Look at this. You then figure out why we can't seem to tell the difference between the horrible people that follow Jesus's message and the good people that follow Jesus's message. Why do Christians still do terrible things if supposedly once you follow Jesus, you're supposed to be a good person?
May I add something on top of that? It's also, hold on, let me add something on top of what Elliot just said. My understanding, and Elliot, let me know if that's your understanding as well, is that Jesus's kingdom is not of this earth. Okay?
Correct.
And that is the most dangerous part of that teaching. Like, that's more dangerous than when it comes to religion. People are like, oh, this religion is violent. That religion has this problematic teaching. There's nothing more dangerous than this part, the focus on another life after this one. Okay, because I've listened to your arguments. You guys have no good arguments for an afterlife, and it seems like this life is the only one we get. And any ideology that takes people's attention away from building this world to working on another is an ideology that even with the people with the best intentions, it will take their focus away onto something completely futile and unworthy. It will base every calculation of what we should do to better our lives will come with wrong conclusions and very costly conclusions if you think that you have an eternal life that we have to live after. And logically, it would mean that we have to focus most of our attention, if not all of it, on that one. Yeah. That is absolutely dangerous to teach. And when you say that your Jesus was saying the same thing that we are, he absolutely did not. We are talking about building this world, building our lives, making it more secure, more prosperous, more free, and more happy. Again, our focus is being happy, more happy people. You started this call by dismissing our attention to feelings, but it's all about feelings, and we get the better feelings by building this world. And your Jesus wants to take our attention away from this world on a shadowy, mythical other life that nobody has any proof for its existence. Go on, Moses.
Okay, can I intercede? I really
Yes, go on.
You're drawn out explanations, but like I feel like in order for this conversation to produce fruit, after your partner speaks, like we can't have like, you know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying, so I understand that there's audiences too, but you kind of make me forget what's on my mind. It's not fresh when you
Got you, man. We got you. Nobody's expecting this. Yeah. Nobody's expecting this to be a perfect back and forth. Nobody's expecting us to figure out all the problems of humanity, you know, on this call. But yeah, answer the question, and then we'll start to wrap this one up because we've got some other calls. But this has been really good, Moses. I appreciate you.
Before we wrap up, can we return to that love thing before?
Let's talk about some emotions real quick. I'm happy to.
But to answer your question, the reason that there's evil Christians is because Christians are not every person who claims to be a Christian has Christ dwelling within them. That's why.
Sure, but how do you figure that out?
Christians are deceived the same way that every other religion and nation is deceived. Christians are not some type of special chosen out people. Yeah, they have the spirit of Christ.
I get that, Moses, but the problem is not for me to determine that. It's you've got to, if what you're saying is some of these people aren't real Christians, congratulations. You just tell me which ones are real and which ones aren't. But until we get there,
okay.
You know.
Okay, so let me answer this to continue to think back on what Armin was saying. The people who are called out, the people who are the true believers are the ones who Christ has poured his spirit out onto. So when Armin was saying the kingdom is not of this earth, it is not. It is within us. The kingdom of God is within our hearts. He dwells in our temples, right? And we are to go out into the world and build that happiness, that togetherness, that love that you've been crying. Because the way you're passionate about humans,
it's not true, Moses,
together and building happiness. What is not true about what I'm saying?
It's not about it's not about love. I've read that book multiple times. There's nothing about love within that. It's about, if anything, it's about people just loving Jesus. It's not about spreading care. Jesus, the book that you're telling us that is promoting love is the same book that Jesus threatens you with fire if you don't love him. What kind of love is that? What kind of love is that? I read that book. That book promises that I will be thrown in the lake of fire simply for my lack of belief in Jesus. You're saying that's a book of love? That's insane. But go on.
Okay, let me understand what I'm saying. See, which is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. The Bible is a spiritual manifestation. When it talks about going through pain, when it talks about going through the fire, all this, we are in the fire right now. This world that is full of deceit, evil, and destruction. That is a physical manifestation.
That's a lie, Moses. Yeah. That's a lie. Okay, either when you're God, okay, you cannot pick which part of the book is literal and which one of it is metaphorical based on which parts you like and which ones you don't. Okay, if the book is clearly the book is clearly telling, the book that you're saying promotes love is clearly telling everybody that reads it that if you don't believe in Jesus, you would be tortured in a way that your teeth will be, we have gnashing of teeth. You will have worms eating on your eye. Okay, and don't promote this book to me as a book of love. Okay, this is a book of hate. This is a book of violence. This is a book of torture. This is a book that it's a one-way love. It's a love with the fear of fire. Like it demands love, as if that love is something that could be demanded. And again, if it doesn't, Moses, if it doesn't mean the things, hold on, you want to say this is a spiritual book, and by that you're saying that it's all metaphorical. Then your God sucks at communication. The best you could say about your God is that it is a God that doesn't know how to simply communicate with his creation. The worst thing you could say about your God is that it's a God that it meant exactly what it said in the Bible.
And it's terrible.
But the best defense you could have is that look at humans, how they communicate. When Elliot tells me something, I understand what he's saying. It's pretty clear. When Moses right now here is telling me something, I understand what you're trying to tell me. You're telling me your God could not even do that. That is telling me something, and I have to misunderstand it, and then Moses has to come here and explain it to me, tell me like it's like an enigma that we all have to solve. It's all metaphorical and poetic. Well, then screw it. Like your God, if your God doesn't even know how to do basic communications with people, then it's not a God worth listening to.
And the other true believers who have the Holy Spirit poured into them also disagree with you, Moses. And again, you are the one that has to figure that out, not us. Now, I know we've gone a lot of different places, Moses, and we have been doing this for 30 minutes already. I have loved this conversation. I thought this has been phenomenal, and I want you to call us back in the future, man, because there is so much more. I can just tell, man, you have so much more. And next time I'm on, when you call, okay, I will give you the first full minute, 2 minutes, whatever. You will just get to lay out your whole freaking case for whatever you want to talk about, brother, and then we will dive into it. Yeah, because I feel like you came to this honestly, and you acknowledged points when points were made, and you're willing to listen, man. And that is what I want this to be, because that's how we make freaking progress. And again, it kind of sounds like we're all in the same boat about wanting a better world. We just disagree about how to get there. So let's keep hashing it out, man. Give us a call back in the future. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a great Sunday.
Real quick.
Oh, sorry, I already hit the button. I'm very sorry. There's a bit of a delay.
He was pretty good. Yeah. Moses was good when it comes to acknowledging, like when he heard something. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So Moses, whatever you wanted to say real quick, make sure you call back and say.
Yeah, write it down.
With that.
Yeah, write it down. Well,
don't forget.
Exactly. Seriously.
Yeah, and also next time you call in, have a notepad next to you, because
super helpful, man.
Yeah, so because you said he said he will forget things that he wanted to say.
Yeah.
So I just have a pen and paper next to me.
I know what it's. I mean, we know what it's like, man. You come and you do these things, and you have a thought in your head, and then you're listening to what the other person says, and then they say something, and you go like, "Oh my gosh, I want to say that. I gotta say that,"
Yes,
you know.
yes,
and so
yes.
it can indeed be tough. But we greatly appreciate all the people that do give it a try, and we definitely want to encourage all of the people that we have good conversation with to call back. And you know what? I'm going to slightly encourage some of the people we have bad conversation with, just because some days I'm feeling spicy. And we've got other good calls, by the way. We've got some good calls, and I think some of them might in fact be spicy. But before we grab them, I have to tell you some things, folks. Okay. There has been talk. There has been talk that once a year, near the end of August, a great gathering occurs. A great gathering of atheists and agnostics and weirdos and free thinkers and wild, crazy, incredible people. They all gather in Austin, Texas, because it's time for the annual Bat Cruise fundraiser, August 24th, folks, of this year. You can come hang out with a bunch of your favorite ACA hosts and crew, like Forrest Valkai, J. Mike, myself. I believe the great Kelly Laughlin will be there, and many, many more will be in attendance. So get all your information and your tickets at tiny.cc/batcruise. And I can tell you this, folks, they will go fast. So you want to get them now. You want to get them quick. If you don't, you will miss out, and you will be sad, and you will have to wait until August of next year. But actually, I mean, that's actually not true. You can actually just go hang out in Austin, Texas any time of year. It actually exists the whole year, funny enough. Yeah, it's not just in August. So you can go down there and hang out at the Free Thought Library. But we still have calls. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Stop. We have super chats. Sorry, that was a bit forceful, Armin. I didn't mean to. That wasn't your fault. That was all me. But I just sorry about that. We have $2 from Daniel Data. No message. Just throwing some cash our way. Well, thank you so freaking much, Daniel. We also have from Quantum Answer, a member for 2 years, gifting out 10 freaking Atheist Experience memberships. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. And if you just got gifted a membership, make sure to throw all those emojis in the chat. I think my face is down there. Armin's face is down there. So just, throw our faces around. We got $10 from No, it didn't. I didn't think about it till after I said it, and then after I said it, I was like, I should just keep going. But we've got $10 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. I might have read that wrong, but $10. Can Chuck Norris lift a rock so big that God can't make it? Yes, he can, because I've heard that while Jesus can walk on water, Chuck Norris can swim through dry land. So, sorry, like we could just go off into Chuck Norris jokes. The crew would freaking hate us, but I could probably fill up the next hour with just Chuck Norris jokes, like no joke. Anyway, we've got Miranda Rinsberger. It's been a member for 2 months, sending $5, saying, "I love you both for keeping callers honest. Their God is an awful God." I freaking agree. I freaking agree. And by the way, if you haven't done it already, you should like the video and subscribe to the channel. You also have to enable the notifications, ring the little bell thing. If you haven't done that already, like, you should ask yourself, like, you know, what's wrong with you? You know, I mean, don't like wreck your whole life or anything thinking about it, but at least ask. You know, at least like look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, what's wrong with me? Why have I not liked this video already? You know, it takes absolutely no effort on my part. But yeah, do all that stuff. Comment on your favorite caller and tell us what we got wrong, by the way, because we do freaking love that. Let's grab a call, Armin. We are going to go out to Ohio, talk with Caleb. He, him, wants to talk about some evidence for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Caleb, you are the man. I am excited. You were talking with SR and Armin Navabi. What you got for us?
Hello, I actually called this show when you two were on like a few months ago. And
hey,
yeah, Armin told me to call back the next
heck
time
yeah,
we're on, but I missed that.
Well, that's okay. We're glad you called this time.
And then I,
yeah, thanks so much for calling.
Yeah, so originally when I called, I was going to talk about try to present some evidence for God. So you guys don't believe in the supernatural, right?
No. I mean, yeah, you know, we could go through definitions and stuff, but just for easy peasy sake, I'll just go with no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think supernatural could even be defined.
I know. See, that's what I didn't want to get into all that. Yeah, like, well, if it's supernatural, like by definition, is also yeah. But yeah, no, I think we're both in that kind of no boat there. But yeah.
Yes, just simply for now, we'll go with no.
And that's not just I could be wrong for Armin. I don't think so, but I would say it's not just a blanket commitment always and forever. Like, you know, it's one of those. Yeah, the current information seems to indicate that that's just not the case, right? So it's not that we're not open to information. It's that you know, nothing yet.
Well, yes, well, nothing yet, but I think the first step to believing in supernatural, which I always open the door to, is first of all for somebody to define supernatural.
Right,
we haven't even
in a coherent way.
The first part. We haven't even made the first step, like let alone proving.
You know, somebody once commented, Armin, and said that SR guy just spends so damn long just saying a simple yes or no, and I think right there that clip, like us just going back and forth. No, Caleb, the answer is no.
Well, let me make it a little bit longer then for that. Okay, it's kind of saying like, hey, do you believe in bubbity boop? Now, hold on, just 1 second. Do you believe in bubbity boop? Like, no, but it's more than no. I don't even know what bubbity boop is. Like, I don't even know. Yeah, so I can't even begin not to believe in it because I don't even know what it is. But go on.
Is that fair, Caleb? Do you feel like we adequately answered?
Go on, Caleb.
All right, so I know you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes at this. I've seen the shorts, but I'm gonna try to prove that God exists beyond a reasonable doubt using Frank Turek's book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Okay.
So first off, starting out, do you guys believe that the universe had a beginning?
I believe this presentation of the universe seems to indicate there was what colloquially we call a beginning. Yes. I can expand on that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Based on our current model, it seems like it has a beginning, but the beginning is kind of like a humanistic perspective of things, and I don't think like it's captures what really is happening here. But yes, so simply.
But in fairness, I also think it is
Centric.
Yeah, for sure. But also, I think it's completely an acceptable answer to that question to say, oh, I don't know, actually. Like if somebody says, hey, do you believe the universe has a beginning? And I just go, well, I currently don't hold that belief because I'm not in a state where I think one way or the other. So
actually, I'll take that back because I think time is an illusion. So I think like talking about ends and beginnings are human-centric perspective of the universe. So I don't really think we had a beginning. I think like we humans experience the universe from a linear time perspective, and the universe itself doesn't necessarily is a linear time, doesn't happen through a linear time. Does that make sense, Elliot?
Oh yeah, no, I totally do. I'm thinking back to the first thought I had when Caleb started asking these questions, because I was like, we're gonna go down all these fucking different routes, and it's just gonna become so fucking esoteric real quick. No,
how about this? We don't know. How about this, Elliot? We can make it simple, okay? The answer is we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know if the universe had a beginning.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know if the universe had a beginning.
Did we get that one? Sorry, Caleb.
Okay, yeah.
We're trying, I swear, man.
Okay, and then you mentioned how you're not sure, so evidence isn't necessarily there to give us a 100% answer, but just like when I said and I was calling, the reason why I was calling is because I want to try and give evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that God exists. And so I do think that the universe had a beginning. And so there's an acronym in the book I mentioned from Frank Turek and Norman Geisler. It's called SURGE, and it mentions things like the second law of thermodynamics, but not most of that. But the universe is expanding, and so that means that there was so if we were wound, let's say that we were wound the universe by 1 hour. So if it's expanding, it would be a little bit smaller than it was before. So if we do that a day, it's going to be even smaller. So we can go all the way back.
Hang on just a second.
Time when the universe.
Hang on just a second, Caleb. Because a couple of things. I mean, one, what was the second law of thermodynamics like before the Big Bang? If that makes sense to you, if that question makes sense, just any answer whatsoever you got. If you need to give a long explanation, you can. If your answer is just, I don't fucking know. What was the second law of thermodynamics like before the Big Bang?
I also have a question about... Go on.
What was that?
No, Armin said he's got some thoughts too, but just answer the question as best you can, Caleb. It's not a trap; it's a legit question. What was the law of? What was the second law of thermodynamics? How did that play out in the universe before the Big Bang? What was it like? Is there a good answer to that?
Yeah,
is that a reasonable question? Does that question make any sense whatsoever? Because the reason I'm asking you this, and the reason I'm asking it in such a way, is to say, if you're taking this current presentation of the universe and saying, this is how it must always be in perpetuity in the past, I think you're standing on a ground that most people would disagree with you on, because we don't have the ability to investigate before the Big Bang. We don't have the ability to do that. And so we don't know what the universe was like back then. We have no conception, man. And so currently, yeah, it seems to be the case that eventually things with a lot of energy, they stop having all that energy. But that may not have been the case. We just don't know. So you can't use that as an argument here. Is that fair?
Yeah, and you see, this is...
Can I also add something to that?
But you see,
There's a whole bunch of problems. First of all, you're assuming that this universe that we're in is all that there is, right? And also, when you say there's a beginning, if you're talking about the second law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics doesn't define a direction, right? So even if you look at time through a linear perspective, what you consider the end could actually be the beginning, and what you consider the beginning could actually be the end. Like if you look at every law in physics, if you look that has T in it, it works either way. Like if you increase T, it works. And if you look at it from the other direction, it works as well. So you're just like again, it's a human-centric perspective that considers the Big Bang to be the beginning, but from a non-human perspective, non-human-centric perspective, that could be the end, and the beginning of the universe could be, maximum entropy, like everywhere in the world. Also, if our understanding currently, based on modern physics, it seems to be that all time is just is. It's like the whole linear perspective that we have is just our perspective. It's not like we go from past to the future and we're at the present. That is just your experiencing of it, but it's just the whole thing. It just is. It's just really hard to understand that from in our human mind, but that seems to be how it actually is. And again, from your perspective, from a religious perspective, God is supposed to be beyond time itself. So from God's perspective, there shouldn't be a beginning or an end, because your God, if your God is outside of time and space, again, the beginning, now, present, past, present, and future also don't make sense, and everything it just is. So you can even define a start and an end for a God that is outside of time and space. So there's just a whole bunch of problems with this line of reasoning. And we haven't even if we allow all of that, we're probably not going to get into a God, but I'm not even going to allow any of that because there's just so many holes in it.
Yeah. And just real quick, Caleb, did you tell the call screener you wanted to discuss like evidence for Jesus's resurrection? Because that's what I was excited about.
Resurrection?
Yeah. But just answer that first. Did you talk about the resurrection with the call screener?
Well, you see, what happened is originally I was going to give evidence for God, but then I hung up and because I had somebody called me and I had to answer it really quick.
Yeah, I get it, but
you know what?
Yeah, but when you called in this most recent time, you wanted to talk about, because I'd like to talk about the resurrection, because I know what Frank Turek's. I let you go on just a little bit just because I don't think I've like spoken about Frank Turek's arguments on this show. But like I know what he says, man. And Frank can call me whenever he wants, man. He won't. Like, I'm not going to say it's because he's scared. I would never do that, Caleb. I would never say that the reason Frank Turek won't talk to me about his arguments is because he knows for a fact that they are so easy to demolish and he doesn't want to look foolish. I would never make that claim. I'm just being very clear here, Caleb. But yeah, let's not talk about his arguments, man. Let's talk about the resurrection. Do you have evidence for the resurrection of Christ? Because I think there's actually some really good stuff the other way, and I wouldn't mind talking about it a little bit. So, can we go to the resurrection?
Okay, hold on. Something actually kind of funny. You're talking about like Frank Turek, and like he said he can call me whenever he wants to. So actually, this weekend I'm going to see him speak. I'll try to get him afterwards. I should say,
bro,
you should call the Atheist Experience.
Bro, do it. Be like, there's this fucking idiot. I mean, you don't have to cuss, but there's this idiot, secular Rarity. Some people say he looks like a pretty lady sometimes. He is pretty good looking. Again, you don't have to say all that, Caleb, but if you want to, you can. Yeah, there's this idiot, secular Rarity who wants to talk to you. Yeah, go for it, man. I hope he does. I hope he does call in. Him and William Lane Craig. We can talk with the creator of the collab himself. Anyway, look, I am losing spaces on future shows because the producers are violently shaking their heads in the background. Let's talk about Jesus Christ and the resurrection. Do you have what you think is solid evidence that demonstrates that it happened?
Yeah, well, first off, this isn't direct evidence because you see, just as with any past event, we weren't there to see it. Just like when you were talking about the beginning, we weren't there to see the beginning, and so there are assumptions that had to be made. And so, when it comes to Jesus and his resurrection, stuff like that, I think it comes down to like, can the documents be trusted? How do we know that the people weren't lying? And so I think that there's really, for one, no reason why So the disciples would have gained nothing from creating a
The
story
documents were not
about
written by the
resurrection.
disciples. Everybody knows that. What are you doing, Caleb?
They're not
Like,
eyewitnesses.
what document?
Eyewitness accounts, right?
There's no eyewitness accounts.
Who were they
Or
written
just
by?
one person. Like,
Wait. Are you agreeing though that they're not eyewitness accounts, or are you just asking if they're not written by eyewitnesses, who are they written by?
I'm challenging you to say if they weren't written by, because I know the whole New Testament is written by different people. It wasn't all written by one person. It was written at different times
Of
and
course.
collected.
And
So I'm just
I just want to make
challenging you, though.
I just want to make clear that you're saying that the only answer to who could have written ancient texts with no attribution on the texts themselves, the only people that could have written those are the people that you and I look at the name on the top of the book as it's being presented today. There's no possibility in your mind, Caleb, that any other human being could have written it. I just want to be clear how low the bar is for this question.
No, there's two parts. Okay, your argument is that there's nobody else could have written them and put the disciples' names on them, and also because you can't imagine. Let's assume that the disciples wrote them, but because you specifically can't imagine that any reason for them to be lying, you're resting your proof on your lack of ability to come up with reasons for why they might be lying. That is your proof.
Do you see how low both of those bars are, Caleb?
Okay, so first off, because you said a couple of things, you made a couple of points in that, whatever you call it, rant, I guess. But so I have heard before about the Gospels thing, and yes, I do think that it could be possible. Like I said before, we do have to make assumptions because we weren't there, and since the
it's not just possible. This is the explanation. Almost every single, the vast majority of biblical scholars, both Christian and non-Christian, think that these Gospels were not written by the disciples, and the names were added on later.
Yeah, Dale C. Allison's a very, very much believing Christian. Goes every week, and he absolutely rejects the notion that Mark was written by Mark.
Yeah, so you see, let's say that's so. And if that's the case, though, how does that go against the claims made in that book?
Well, it goes against. All it goes against is you saying that these are accounts written by those people. That's the only reason we brought this up, is because you said, well, this was written by the disciples, and Armin just said, well, no, it isn't. Like, that's not.
We're not even trying to negate right now the resurrection. We're just negating what you just said.
We can actually give you, for the sake of this argument, that Mark and Matthew actually did write Mark and Matthew, that Luke wrote Luke and Acts, and that John wrote John.
Let's go with that.
That still doesn't get us to the next thing, because the other part of what you were saying was that, these claims are about
how could they be lying?
We have to trust these documents. We have good reason to trust these documents.
Why they would be lying.
We have really good reason to trust the Quran. The Quran has some pretty phenomenal things. The Upanishads has some really incredible things in it. Why would those people be lying about flying on clouds?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even know if they were lying. They could be genuinely believing in this nonsense. But do you understand that the environment that the biblical stories were being written in was an environment where myths were being made left and right? It was that place and that time was a myth factory. People were coming up with demigods and gods left and right. It was it was a mythology creation machine on steroids. It was insane. Especially that time, that is the environment where your Jesus came out of. And we're lying about all these other gods and demigods, and the Jesus one happened to be the one that nobody had any reason to lie about.
Yeah, so you see, actually, this is kind of nice that you bring that up, because I actually did a whole, because I'm into this kind of stuff, studying this kind of stuff. So I did a whole kind of presentation about this, for my school. But anyway,
Cool.
so it's like I feel like what you're saying when you're talking about all the other holy books is like, so
Not
why
just
is it
no no
that
wait
all the other
not just
books
not
of life
not the other holy
apply?
books. Okay, I'm just even if you ignore the Quran and Hindu texts and everything in that environment, go look this up. Okay, I suggest what is his name? God damn it.
I was thinking
Bart
Dennis
Ehrman.
Oh, Bart Ehrman. Yeah. I was thinking
Okay,
Dennis R.
Bart
McDonald.
Ehrman. If you go look at what was happening around the time that Jesus was being created as a mythology. Go look at the competing stories that were being written against them at that time. Okay, you will see that people were making up demigods all over the place. This was like and competing with each other. So there was a lot of interest in coming up with better and better and more fantastic stories. So if you go look this up, if you go read Bart Ehrman, because Bart Ehrman is somebody who in the biblical scholarship is respected not just by atheists or agnostics, but by Christian scholars as well. It's not somebody, even if you disagree with some of his points, it's not somebody that you could just dismiss. I think it would be a really good starting point for you if you want to go understand how the Jesus myth and how the biblical stories were created, like with the process in which that they were created. I think you will find that very interesting, Colin, if you go read those.
Yeah, so you mentioned about the Jesus myth. So I know I'm the one who called and was giving the positive claim, so I would have the burden of proof. But you mentioned pretty much how Jesus is a myth because myths were being brought up around that time. But how do you know that it is a myth?
Yeah,
I didn't claim. Right. I didn't claim that he is a myth. You said, how could it be a lie? What motivations did they have? I gave you an option. I didn't say this is an option. I said that you cannot dismiss this option. Sorry, go on, Elliot.
Well, no, I was just going to say, basically that, which is Armin wasn't making the claim that the story that we have of Jesus to this day is all mythological. What he's saying is that the story, the information that we have about when the story was first presented in human society was in the exact same time and place that all of these other, we know for a fact, mythological stories were also coming up. And so it was something in the water. It was something in the air. And so this story is not out of place for all of these other stories. But again, the mythicism of Jesus Christ doesn't even matter. We can say there was a dude, his name was Yeshua, and he walked around places in that time saying a bunch of stuff, and then he got crucified on a cross by Romans. We can give you all of that because what's most important about this story, especially for the believer, as Paul says, is that Jesus was resurrected, because if not, your faith is in vain. And what I'm saying is we've got no good reason to believe any human beings ever have resurrected. And if what you're going to say is, yeah, nobody else does, but my guy does, well, that's a problem.
See, here's the thing. Your evidence is lack of motivation for lying. But even if we take that, you have to understand that it doesn't even need to be lying. Just look at our modern times. Hold on, listen to this. Okay, let's see something happen. Somebody kills somebody somewhere, or somebody says something. In our modern times, with social media, with people recording everything with their phones, with satellite technology, within minutes after something happens, people come up with so many different narratives, and they are so sure and contradictory narratives about what happened. Even with video footage and audio recording in modern times, people come up with different myths. And these people are not lying. They actually have contradictory explanation or description of what happened without them trying to lie. It's genuinely what they believe. And if that happens, and if or it's just in line with their presumptions or their biases or whatever, right? But if in our modern time, with all of this technology and all this access to information, people come up with such contradictory explanations or descriptions of what they just saw with their own eyes, they could see it on social media, they could see the video, then what do you think would have happened 2,000 years ago, when people were so inclined to believe in all sorts of myths and gods. And mythology was the tool for you to make sense of your world. And you think that people wouldn't have an interest in coming up with new stories just to make sense of what's happening to them, even if they're not lying. Maybe they actually believe it. But just because they believe it and they're lying, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what happened.
Right.
Could I ask a question about these? Do you say like a lot of books that were being written around, not books, but a lot of stories that were being written and told around that time? So why do you think, and I'm just asking you for your opinion, why do you think that these stories were written? Do you think they were written for fun? Do you think they were written to fool people? Do you think they were written?
Oh, I think there's
mix.
probably a lot of different
Multifactorial.
answers. Yeah, I think that's probably a couple of different. I'm sure. I feel very confident in saying this because I don't think it's a particularly strong claim to make, Caleb, which is, yeah, people throughout history have written stuff purposefully with the intent that it's untrue, and they want to use that untrue narrative to do all sorts of things, sometimes good, most of the time bad. But also there are people who absolutely write stories just for fun, knowing full and well that they're not real, and they don't try to perpetuate them as real. And then some other people down the line pick up that story and go, holy shit, this speaks to me, this must be true, and everything in between, right? Like, there were people in the past who sat down with pen and paper or quill and ink. I don't know what the fuck, but you get what I'm saying. There were people who sat down and purposefully wrote a story, put Jesus's name in there, and were like, haha, these stupid idiots are going to believe it. And then there were other people who genuinely believed they got a message from Allah himself and started writing shit down. Yeah, man. Abso-freaking-lutely. Across the board, lots of different reasons, but ultimately at the end of the day, right? But ultimately at the end of the day, that motivation, while interesting, is not actually what's most important, right? Because, for instance, somebody could write a story about this dude named, like, I don't know, Socrates, and how Socrates walked around this city and like talked to people, and one day it was very hot, and Socrates had a small cup of water, and he bent down and he nursed a grieving dog back to health by gently massaging the water into this poor, thirsty dog's gums. And that dog became Socrates' best friend and slept next to him every fucking night of his life. If that's true or not, it doesn't matter, because people definitely existed. Dogs definitely existed. I'm sure somebody did a nice thing for a puppy at some point in history. What would matter is if somebody then goes, and if you don't believe this story, you're going to be tortured in hell for eternity, and we'll put you in jail for it. Like, that's where the problem comes in, right?
So like Socrates.
Just like Socrates, right? Just like Socrates, right?
That
I didn't even mean to do that. Yeah, I didn't even mean to do that. I was just fucking. But you see, you get that though, Caleb. Like, yeah, man, these people could have been 100% honest and been like, dude, I swear I just saw this, right? And they still could be mistaken. And one reason we are saying, hey, they're probably mistaken, is because they talk about some things that don't seem to have any good reason to believe are real. Like, if somebody writes a story tomorrow, or finds a story tomorrow from 1,000 years ago about some dude just like clapping his hands together and bunny rabbits appearing, I'd be like, well, that's probably not real, because that doesn't happen, you know?
The interesting thing about your example is that, just a fun little addition, is that Socrates and Aristotle disagreed upon this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Socrates believed that mythology takes people's attention away from reality and focuses on things that are not rational and are not based in reality. And that's one of the reasons he got executed. But Aristotle believed that, no, actually, your mythology is a good way to promote virtues that make society a better place. So this is an ancient discussion, by the way. So this is back it goes. This is. Yeah.
I was going to say, if Jordan Peterson were here, he'd tell us about the meta-narrative and how we have to, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Caleb, we have been going on for a really, really freaking long time, and this has been phenomenal. Please call us back. Please call us back, man. I feel just the same as I did last conversation, which this was really good and I really got a lot out of it, and I hope you did as well. So let's keep doing this. I don't know when Armin or I will be back on, but it's probably going to be longer after this. They're probably going to let us take a few Sundays off after this. They're shaking their heads, but no, seriously, thank you so much, Caleb. We're gonna let you go, brother, and please do call us back in the future. I love having conversations like that, because I feel like so far they've been pretty good, and we've got some more theists. And I'm not going to waste too much more time. I'm just going to tell you that if you're in the Austin area, you should follow the ACA on Meetup, because that way you can keep up with all of the awesome community events. You can see what's going on at tiny.cc/ACA meetup. It's right there on the screen, like Philosophy Under the Stars, the game nights, and all the other cool things. Like, for instance, the fact that you can join the weekly watch parties at the Free Thought Library on Sundays for live viewings of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience every single frickin' Sunday, 1 p.m. Central and 4:30 p.m. Central. The doors open at noon. It is a great place for building community. It is a great place for hanging out with some wonderful people. It is a great place to see all of the in-person crew members facepalm and shake their heads whenever Armin or I are on the show. We are going to go. We are going to Florida. We're going to talk with Landy. He, him wants to tell us that science is catching up with ancient biblical scripture. Well, Landy, we want to hear it. What do you got for us today?
Thank you for having me. Well, first and foremost, I'm hoping to brighten everyone's day by pointing out that at the end of the day, it's proven that we're all technically beings of light, being that the elements within our body, they originate within the stars themselves, and our cells communicate via light as well. For one thing, and this is an overlook.
I'll take the sentiment there. When you started with "we're all beings of light," I was like, well, I don't know, but yeah, the "we're all stardust" thing, I'm on board with it. So yeah, what is science finally catching up to?
We're not all stardust. The helium and the hydrogen in us is not stardust. The rest of it, I think, is
okay. So we're like a lot of stardust. We're like some stardust. Yes, all right, whatever. Yes. Fucking pedantic asshole. Anyway, okay, Landy. So what is science catching up to in ancient biblical scripture? Well, what did the Bible tell us that science is just finally getting around to understanding?
Well, I got to tell you, even that part that we just mentioned for just a moment ago, of course, is also in the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the
Is the Gospel of Thomas that are a little bit canonized? Is that canonized? I could have been mistaken. Hang on a sec.
No, it is. It's not. I know that. Sure? I know for sure.
Hang on.
Yeah, the Thomas one is the one that the Quran got the story of the Jesus and the bird from.
I've got my Bible right here, Armin. Hang on. Let me get my table of contents out. Yeah, go ahead. You keep talking.
Thomas. Like, okay, we're gonna have an inquisition here on us.
Old Testament. Okay, I swear
particularly that when they ask you where you're from, tell them you're from the light. If it takes you a moment to pull it up,
right?
Correct.
It's not in the Bible.
Okay, so then it's not in the Bible, because look at this right here.
There's no Thomas.
I know you might not be looking at it. Maybe it's still a little fuzzy, but you can definitely just go grab your book and you can look at it.
Yes.
And look at that. No Book of Thomas. So that's not biblical. So I mean, if you want to say there's extra biblical scriptures, if you want to say there's extra biblical scriptures that science is catching up to, no worries, man. I'll still take that call. That's still fascinating to me, Landy. But you can't claim that it's from the Bible. I love how
both me and Elliot, as soon as you said Gospel of Thomas, both me and Elliot were like, hold on, what? No.
You can't use that. You can't use that shit.
That's not canon. But go on.
We're not finished. I can appreciate that, but in essence, at the end of the day, for one example, the 7 days of creation, for example, the first verse of Genesis, with all the letters contained therein, comes out to the number 28. And the seven musical scales.
What does that matter? Let's just grant for a second what you just said, okay? What is the fact that all of those letters adding up, which I don't even know how you do that, but let's just give it to you. What does that mean? Like, just give me a basic understanding, okay? Like, let me put it to you this way, okay? I could tell you right here. I just randomly did this. I love this book. I just randomly did this though. But this is the book of Job. This is an actual canonized book in the actual Bible. Just, point that out real quick. But in the book of Job, the first sentence, all of the letters add up to the number 42. And the reason that's important is because that's where Douglas Adam got the answer to the question of life, 42, right? See, but I just made all that bullshit up. So what you just said, the letters add up to 28. What does that matter? Okay, so what?
Wait. Okay, let him finish the point, and then before you say that, Landy, are you consider yourself a Christian? Yes or no?
Well, I'm actually, to be honest with you, I would like to, if I may please finish the point before I answer your next question, because I wasn't finished from before. And I know you guys have a whole lot coming at me, but I wasn't done. If I may directly address what does the number 28 have to do with it?
Okay, but you just spent 30 seconds asking for permission to make the point. You could have used that time to actually make that point right now.
Would you like a minute? We can give you a full minute, Landy, uninterrupted. Do you want a minute?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hang on just a second. I'll tell you how it's going to go. Our crew is going to get a timer. They're going to put it on screen. When I shut up here in just 5 seconds, your minute will start. And when that minute is up, we are just going to unabashedly come in and say, hey, okay, your minute's up, okay? I'm going to shut up. The minute timer is going to come up on screen, and Armin and I are going to be quiet while you lay your case out.
Thank you. The first verse of Genesis 1:1, is in essence mathematical code. It's 7 words with all the characters derived therein that it's made up of. The way that happens is the gematria, in essence, of the ancient letters. That equals out to 28 letters. That's the 7th triangular number. In essence, all of these numbers together come out to 2,701 that mathematically equate to the first verse of Genesis. That's the 73rd triangular number, which erects a pyramid, such as the Great Pyramid. These 7 words right here, which is in essence make up the 7th triangular number, the 28 letters, not only point to that pyramid, which was architected by the 7th patriarch since Adam, Enoch, but also, just to get back to the point, those 7 words that come out to 28 letters altogether correlate with the 7 musical scales, which with all the notes contain their
my question. Your time is up. Landy, your time is up. Your time is up.
I wanted to give you a few extra seconds, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay, finish your point.
No. He did. Okay. He did. He connected it to the musical notes. That's what I wanted to hear.
Do you believe in Jesus to be God, Landy? Yes or no? Is Jesus God?
First of all, I know you guys are going to get quite the heckle, but we'll take our time.
Yes or no, Landy? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is Jesus God?
Not only is God not a human being, such as recited in Mark 10:18.
Is Jesus?
And also, sounds like you're saying no.
God?
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying no here.
Okay, just no. I don't want to say not only. Just no. Okay. So, is Allah God? Is Allah God? Just answer my questions. Is that really hard? Is Allah God? Do you believe in Islam? Yes or no?
First, I was still finishing your answer.
These are yes or no. These are yes or no questions. What are you talking? Yeah. Why are you saying first?
I don't understand.
I'm asking. Do you believe Allah is God? Just say yes or no.
Hang on just a second, Landy. I just muted you. You probably heard a beep, okay? So if you're talking right now, it won't matter. You're just wasting your own energy, okay? I'm going to unmute you in just a second. We'll just try this again, okay? Anything that's happened up until now, we can just put aside. Put a little pin in it, come back to it. Never. I'm going to bring you back on. You're going to hear a beep. And then Armin's going to ask you a direct question that really only has 1 or 2 answers. And if you want to give further explanation to your answer, you can do so after you just say either yes or no. Okay? So you're going to hear a beep. I'm unmuting you. Armin, what's your question?
Yeah.
Do you believe Allah is God? Yes or no?
Because you're saying God in Arabic, yes.
Okay, no. I'm not. Yep. Because it doesn't start with because. It just says yes. Okay, so yes.
So yes,
Okay.
you believe
All right.
Allah is God. Cool.
All right. Do you believe in Islam?
I believe it was created by me. That's what I believe. I took you back to Genesis 1, and as I said, if you're
you-
saying
Okay, no, you're not.
by,
Did you just say?
uh,
Hold up.
I can't.
Yeah. Did
I
you just say
don't- this
Islam
guy
was
doesn't
created
understand how
by you? I don't think I heard that right. Go ahead, Armin.
Okay,
Try again.
Let me just make this point because I don't think this person understands what's happening here.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at is that if he uses these number games, right? Every religion has that. Hinduism has that. Islam has that. Christianity has that. But this guy is not even able to have a conversation with you for me to be able to get there, right? I think because they know that they might get stuck in a trap, because their arguments are always so self-contradictory that if you actually genuinely answer these questions, you will get trapped by your own answers. That's why I think they know they refuse to answer these questions, right? But what I'm trying to point to is that in Islam, in the Quran, the word day has been mentioned how many times? 365 times, right? If any Christian wants to come up play with the numbers game, then the Muslims have you beaten that, right?
What?
So on that game, and it's not just day; it's basically day and night, 365 times, according to them, on a book that was compiled over a period of time. So you don't have anything like that in the Bible. That is pretty, because look at the number of 28 that he came up with, you would have to make that sound significant by coming up with all these other random mumbo jumbles, right? But when a Muslim comes and says that I have 365 days, by the way, I have an answer to that, so don't think like I consider that a miracle. Right, but if you imagine, what do you have over that? Because all the Muslim has to say, it's not like this is a magical number, because you have to do two things. First, you have to show that number, there's a number in the Bible. Second, you have to prove that number is special. Right. But the Muslim doesn't even have to do that. The Muslim has to just show you the number, because we already all know how significant the number 365 is. So you don't even have to show to us, prove to us how special that number is. So that's just...
I swear there's another one. There's another one out there too, like... there's another one that's something about like how many words are in the Quran, and like something about like if you divide it by the number of chapters, it equals some other, like, yeah, anybody can play
it's
around
actually more
with
simple.
all of these.
The Quranic ones are more simple, because if I remember correctly, the chapter of the Quran that is the chapter B is the same number, I think this was it or something else, of the number of chromosomes of bees. Right? So it's not like you don't even have to like add and multiply and divide or something, because the Christian ones, you have to just put so many different numbers together. You have to add them, you have to divide them, you have to do all sorts of mathematical tricks with them. The Islamic ones are like, hey, the number of days is 365. The B chapter is the same number of chromosomes. No addition, no division, nothing needed.
That's just straight up. Okay.
Okay.
So hang on, Landy, we're gonna bring you back on.
Did I just convert all the live chat to Islam? By the way, guys,
probably,
if you're impressed, you should do the shahadat.
Do not. You can just end at the first line. There is no God. All right, we're good. Okay, Landy, you're back on. We've gotten a little far afield by talking about math. What I want to talk about is what in the Bible. What in the Bible is coming? Look, I'll just mute you again. That's really stupid, Landy. I'm trying to be kind here, okay? You said some very, very silly things that I honestly really don't think you even know enough about to have a full conversation on. But more importantly, Landy, I am interested, desperately interested, in figuring out what biblical information has existed for so long that science is just now catching up to, because this is a claim I have heard from many a Dawa folk. And I think they're wrong when it comes to the Quran and Islam. And I'm gonna go ahead and take the stance. I think you're probably wrong too. So let's hash it out. I'm gonna bring you back on. You're gonna hear a beep. What ancient biblical information is out there that science is just catching up with? What you got?
Thank you very much. I'm going to try to fit two things in as best I can for you. Number one is remaining with Genesis 1:1, which I can elaborate more on, including with what the gentleman was saying earlier in regards to the Muslim numbers. But for the first instance, the mathematical constant of pi is embedded within Genesis 1:1. There are multiple ways which you come out to the smallest whole number approximation of pi, which, as you know, took years to come up with here with modern day calculations.
Okay,
and also,
that's your
sir,
first one. What's the second one?
Yes, sir. The fourth phase of cellular water, intracellular water, which when you look it up is actually going to go ahead and prove to you that it's been peer reviewed, that telecommunication, actual telepathic speaking is within reach. You'll see that literally posted within, for example, the Smithsonian magazine website, that literally this fourth stage of cellular water is capable of telecommunication. And this is overlaying the fourth kingdom.
Are you talking
book.
about the thing where people yelled at glasses of water and then took silly pictures of them and told everybody that your water is magic? That's not what you're talking about, right?
Not at all, sir.
Yeah, when I look up intracellular water, none of the things that come up on the NCBI website are anything close to what you're talking about. So
actually, what you will find is exactly what I said, including a TMS.
That intracellular water can do like telekinetic communication. That's what I'm going to find here. Because currently what I found is extracellular to intracellular body water and cognitive function among healthy older and younger adults. That definitely isn't what you're talking about.
Look up the post that I showed you, that I just mentioned, from the Smithsonian magazine, that will literally tell you telepathic communication is in reach, where they rig one human being with what is called a TMS, literally a capsule, almost like you may have seen with that Ready Player One movie. And they literally have been able to deliver telepathic communication via this way. Literally, look it up just like that.
I genuinely am right now. And I can honestly tell you, abso-fucking-lutely nothing is coming up, bro. Like, I don't know if I can, I don't think I can share my screen right now, but like legitimately, I typed in intracellular water Smithsonian. If that doesn't bring up this article that you're talking about, bro, I just don't know what the fuck will. And the only thing that comes up is algae preservation techniques. That's all I'm getting. Now, everybody at home, you can be good skeptics yourself and go check it out. But because we're getting close to the end of the show, Landy, if that's all you got, man, I don't think that's
hold on,
good.
Landy, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. So the thing is, Elliot, hold on, I'm talking. So I wouldn't even be surprised if these numbers were true, because, and I wouldn't even be surprised if you find numbers like this from like a cookbook. Like I'm almost sure that if I just grab just a random book from my shelf and I just give it to AI to come up with coincidental numbers that just miraculously match with something, there in any book you will be able to find numbers like this. By the way, I just double checked. Weren't my numbers more impressive than whatever
they are?
Landy
They are
came
more
up with?
impressive.
Because I double checked and it's true. Like the bees have 16 chromosomes, and the bee chapter in the Quran is chapter 16 of the Quran. Right, yeah, and imagine if that was actually a miracle. That is very
it's more impressive, but it's still stupid. That's
I know to the human mind, which sometimes misfires when it comes to coming over probabilities, that is actually a lot more impressive because the Quran was compiled through time, and the people who even compiled the Quran was not Muhammad himself. It happened after his death, and they didn't know about the chromosomes. So imagine the miracles that must have taken place to make sure that it shows up in chapter 16, which is the same number of chromosomes of B.
I think the only thing we can say is Alhamdulillah. I'm sorry, it just
no, you should do the shahada. But the thing is that this is you should do the shahadat, guys. This is only impressive to a human mind because human minds are not wired to understand probabilities properly, right? Like if you and things that. In fact, if your brain understood how probabilities work, it would be surprised if there would no such things in it. Like if a book long enough didn't have any such instances in it, that would be the miracle. That would be the miracle that you couldn't find a single impressive number in it because just because of the law of large numbers, at some point there should be a number there that just matches something somewhere.
That's the whole monkeys at typewriters thing. Eventually, they're just gonna type out Shakespeare. But Landy, I'm sorry, brother. We got a few other calls we got to get to. Call us back.
Can I just answer him directly?
No, because I put you on mute. I do appreciate you asking kindly, though. But unfortunately, I've said we're going to move on, which means we're going to move on. And give us a call back in the future. Feel free to bring this up specifically and say that asshole SR cut me off and didn't let me talk. I am fine with it. But seriously,
people are doing the shahada in the live chat.
Don't do that. Don't do the shahada in the live chat. You either, Landy. Don't take the shahada. Stay whatever you are. Don't do that. Anyway. We'll talk to you another time, Landy. Yeah, seriously, I'm sitting here going like, man, if we weren't kicked off the show, we are now, man. You just advocated for all of our fucking atheist viewers to become Muslim, man. What are you doing? You're ruining the whole point of the show.
Armin, we brought you here so people take people out of religion, not to invite them to religion.
Yeah, this is what they didn't know. This is what they didn't know is that even though you are so anti-Islam, you are the best Muslim apologist out there. That was their fault. They didn't get that. But I have a couple of super chats I want to shout out real quick, and then we've got some other really cool calls, and I am excited to get to those. So I'm going to mention the $5 super chat from Daniel Data that says that last super chat was my first ever on YouTube. Woohoo! And I did not know I could add a message. Let's try now. I love that, Daniel. I love that message. I'm glad you said it all like that. That makes me happy, and thank you. That's super cool, man. Always first super chat, super cool. We also have another 10 more gifted Atheist Experience memberships from Quantum Answer. Holy freaking crap. You rock, Quantum Answer. And everybody that just became a member, make sure to say thank you in the live chat. Throw up those emojis and all that good stuff. And why not? I'll just say this. Since you were gifted such a wonderful gift on this day, this Sunday, the 26th. Why not also gift some other memberships? Why not also do that to some other people? We've also got $4.99 from Gayest Husky saying, it's not our job to explain why they believe or write this stuff. It's the believer's job to demonstrate that what the Bible says is true. I completely freaking agree. It's not on me, man. Like, I don't need to sit around and try to figure out for you why somebody wrote the Gospel of Thomas. Because honestly, it doesn't even matter. It's not important. If dude wrote the Gospel of Thomas just because, I don't know, he ate some bad mushrooms one day and wasn't feeling super great in his tum-tum, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Because if what he writes from that bad tummy experience is some dude just started floating in front of me and then produced bunnies out of nothingness, that's where I'm going to have the problem. Because I'm like, oh man, I just don't think there's any good reason to think that is true. But hey, you can always call us and convince me maybe. But We have $2 super chat from Fern Love Bond member for 2 months saying number of letters in what language of what source. That's a really good freaking point, Fern. Like these texts have gone through so many different languages that it's just like, yeah, which one are you picking? And I know that the ancient Hebrew language had some things with like numbers and there's like a weird connection to that stuff. But also like you can just do this shit arbitrarily. You can just pick a number. You can just do that with the English language right now. You can just be like A's are ones and Q's or whatever the fucks, you know, and then come up with all kinds of stupid. None of that is ever impressive to me. I just got to be honest. None of that is ever impressive. But I guess it is for some people. I guess it is. All right, we got some other calls. I want to get to them. We are going to go out to California. We've got James and wants to ask our opinion on Christ being the Messiah. Well, hey, James, you were chatting with Armin, Navabi, and Secular Rarity. What is up, man?
Hey, guys. Yeah, but real quick, can I touch, well, as far as the last caller, the closest thing to what we have to what he's talking
No, let's do what you called about and then go back to the last caller.
I'm just saying, okay, but so I can't touch base real quick on anything else. I have to go to what I'm.
You can after.
Yeah, we can do it after, man. If we have some time, let's just try to get to this.
Okay, so
yeah.
All right. Okay. What I was calling about was what I wanted to ask what you thought about Paul's argument for Christ being the Messiah. Like, what do you think about what his argument was to the Jews of that day?
Could you? Just for everybody's sake, could you just give us a quick little, here's what he said?
Well, like in the book of Acts, right? Like Armin was just saying that he's read the Bible and stuff, so he would know then, like in the book of Acts, and then the letters that Paul wrote, we know that were his because his name was
7 of them are his, but yeah, half of them that are attributed to Paul are actually Paul's. But again, like we don't need word for word here, James. We just got a bunch of people that have never fucking read the Bible before that watch the show on, you know. So just give us a quick little, hey, this is what Paul was saying as to why Jesus is the. Oh, I know. I just want you to say it.
I know. I'm just saying, you guys
give the argument
though, and as Armin mentioned, that you guys have.
Hey, James. Oh, what's that? You didn't fucking say anything. Oh, that's weird. Because I fucking muted you. And here's why I'm getting upset. There's no point. There's no point in you saying anything else other than actually being an honest interlocutor and coming here to present your argument, bro. I have opened the doors and rolled out the red carpet. And you are purposefully being dishonest. All you have to do, brother, is hop on in just a second when you hear a beep. I'm just going to start the whole call over. I don't know why we got off on this weird foot where you just won't say, hey, here's what Paul says as to why he thinks you should believe Jesus is the Messiah. I got the book, bro. I don't need you to tell me. I'm doing that so that everybody here can follow along, okay? So let's all be adults about this. Let's be cool people. And let's go out to California. We're going to talk to James. He, him, wants to ask us our thoughts on Paul's argument for Christ being the Messiah. Hey, James, you're talking with Secular Rarity and Armin Navabi. Real quick, just so that everybody follows along, could you give us what Paul's argument is?
Yeah, so Paul brings up to the Jewish people about how they've rejected the people that God has sent to them all throughout their history, going all the way back to the book of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and so on, and how they've rejected the people that God sent, and how he brings up how everything is revealed in the Old Testament for the Messiah, but it was like written in plain sight. So it wasn't understood, and that's why a lot of the Jewish people today still reject Jesus as the Messiah, and they're waiting for their Messiah to come, because when he did arrive, he did everything spiritually what they were expecting physically. For example, can I give a couple examples?
Go for it, James, and thank you for telling us all that.
Okay, so the delivery from slavery, the Passover, when you sacrifice the lamb, put the blood over the door, and the angel of death passes through. Your firstborn won't die. The circumcision of the flesh, the raising up of the snake in the desert, so the people looked at it and then believed God and they were healed. All of these things that happened, they were delivered into the promised land and so on. And Paul brings up the fact that how all these things happened to you guys, and God did all these things physically, but
Still
the
didn't
Messiah
believe.
that was coming is not is right. But see, they believed and still do that the Messiah that comes will do all of these things, establish a kingdom. He'll make them high in society. They won't be being oppressed anymore. They'll be delivered from all of that.
The point was the Jews were waiting for a kingdom on this world, and Jesus came and promised them a kingdom in the next world. And and the Jews were like, "That's not what we were waiting for. We were waiting for a kingdom here."
But Paul's argument was, hey, actually, this is what was really going to happen. That's what Paul was arguing.
Well, he was also arguing that it's not about the law, because the law doesn't fix anything. The law was presented just to show us that we need to be forgiven. We need a savior, right? And he was presenting that to them as, you guys think you're good, you think you're living a great life, and you're righteous within yourselves. But look how much you fail. You do fail. Nobody's perfect. And so we do need someone to fix that for us, right? That's his argument. He's showing them all throughout history how they rejected those people. And here's the Messiah, and you're still rejecting this one.
We're with you, James. We're with you. And real quick, I just want to say thank you so very much for presenting that. I'm sorry I had to yell. Now, here is my response to that, okay, James? I think I'm following you. I think I understand what you're getting at. And my response is that the same reason that I reject Paul's assertion there is the same reason that I reject Muhammad's, and the same reason that I reject Joseph Smith's. They all said those things. Every single one of them said, oh man, you actually just missed the signs. But here they are. The old scriptures talked about them. You just were mistaken. So there's that. And then the other aspect of it is, I think the things that when people like that, when they go back to older scriptures and books and stories, and they point out things and they say, look what this is telling us. I think those things are very, very vague. Very rarely are they specific enough to actually fulfill the criteria for prophecy. And if they do fulfill that criteria, they never work out. They never work out.
Can I ask?
Let Armin go, and then we'll come right back to you, James.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Paul, I thought you're going to refer to the fact that Paul claimed that there are eyewitnesses, right? But Paul himself was not an eyewitness. Is that, if I remember correctly, this is a while back ago. Paul himself didn't witness anything, but Paul claims that there were 500 people witnessing like Jesus's resurrection and stuff, and there's nobody recorded other than Paul. That is, I mean, if I remember correctly, like Paul was, all the claims of eyewitnesses come, the large number of Paul eyewitnesses come from Paul just claiming this. So I thought that you were going to refer to why Jesus is God. It was that there's just so many eyewitnesses. The same, like Paul was claiming that, and that's the same claim that people are making that today. So, but again, Paul himself is just referring to other people without witnessing anything himself, and it's just believing them. And we have to actually do something more than Paul. Paul at least acts like he has met all of these, like, you know, many of these eyewitnesses. But we have to trust Paul, and we have to trust Paul's trust in these people. Like, we don't even know if Paul made that up. We don't know if Paul actually met these 500 witnesses. And we just have to go with his word. If I remember correctly, everything hinges on this Paul's claim being true. Like, we have nobody that directly has witnessed any of these miracles. We just have people who claim that they have talked to people who have witnessed these miracles. Is that accurate, or am I misremembering some of this?
No, it's my memory. Yeah.
No, I right. But so here, but we also have to look at this. So Paul was Saul. He was a Pharisee. He was a law-abiding, Moses-following, Ten Commandment guy. He was high in society, had money. He was raised up under another Pharisee.
He was also killing. He was also killing Christians. He was also killing Christians, right?
Yeah, what does that matter?
I know
the fact that he
right?
converted.
So
why is that
hold
important?
on. Well, let me finish. Just let me finish real quick. So he was doing all these things, right? And all of a sudden, he gave all that up and changed completely and switched. He did a flip.
Right, but people do that to Islam.
I was wrong.
My buddy just did that to Islam. He just took his Shahada 2 minutes ago. Why don't you believe in Islam now?
Okay. Because he had a reason.
My buddy had a reason. He met
had
Muhammad.
100%. He gave it up.
Yeah.
Paul just saw something.
Right. My buddy just 2 days ago, he was walking outside and all of a sudden the clouds parted and the sun shone down and the archangel Jibril himself said, Allah is the one true God and Muhammad is his only true messenger. Why aren't you a Muslim? Why aren't you saying your Shahada right now? It's the exact same story. What's the difference?
This is actually true stories. I know actually many people in that were atheists, and they said that they met the Mehdi come to them. I have people in my life that they were atheists, and they say that they have saw Mehdi in front of them as if he was real as he was as he's seeing me right that moment. This is what they were saying. So how could that? So that Paul is saying that he had a revelation moment. Like, this could be
completely
something
changed his life.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, completely changed his life.
So did Armin's friend. So did my friend. Just to Islam.
Okay.
So why are their stories not as?
I'll tell you what makes it more reasonable. This is what makes it more reasonable, is the fact that he took his experience and his life and everything completely changed. And he pointed out from all of the 1,500 years of writings, how it all lines up. He didn't just make something up.
What are you talking about? Have you not heard all of the times in the Torah that they mention Muhammad? Oh my God, have you not heard of this? Do you not know of the stories prophesizing Muhammad? It is absolutely out there. It's all out there. All these people changed their life. We have the exact word for word, instance for instance stories. I know it is 100% true. It's just as true as yours is. It's just as true as yours is.
That's exactly the same claim.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same claim Muslims make.
It's 100%, man. There's no difference whatsoever. You can just keep saying
it's not true, but that's that is the claim.
Yeah, you go tell Sajid Lipam that. You go tell Mohammed Hijab that. You go tell them that it's not true because they'll tell you that this isn't true. We're all on the exact same playing field.
They say that when Jesus
prophesied Muhammad,
Comforter coming,
people went to Jesus and asked him, and they said, "Who do we talk to? Who's the guy? Who's the one?" And he said, "Why are you coming to me, bro? Go talk to your boy Momo. He's the one. He's the true messenger of Allah."
He said,
"Yes, he did. That is an absolute story."
Let me speak. You guys keep talking over me. Let me just speak a little bit. 10
because
seconds.
You're not being honest, James, and we're back to the same way that you started this conversation. We had a good few minutes there where we were actually having honest dialogue, but now you're coming back and you're starting to act like you were at the beginning, which is why we're getting a little frustrated because it's difficult to have a conversation where we're clearly even. We are saying the exact same things, and the only difference between us is that you're going, no, my thing, my one is actually true. Armin and I saying they're both fucking wrong. We're the only ones being consistent here.
Yeah, and James, you started this conversation with such a bad faith attempt by saying, like, not giving the arguments and asking us to give it. What was the point of doing that? Like, what were you trying to get at? Right. Because that was such a bad faith way of starting a discussion. What were you trying to show by not answering the question?
Sorry, I have you muted. I'm unmuting you, James. Please answer that.
It wasn't that I didn't want. It wasn't that I didn't want to answer the question. I was asking a question.
What was the point?
I just started with.
What was the point? What was the point when
but
Elliot?
Why not give the argument?
What were you trying to do?
You said, "Hey, what's your thoughts on this argument?" And we responded and just said, "Hey, just for clarity's sake, what's the argument?" Why not just give the argument right away?
You responded, James. You're saying, like, if you guys read the Bible, James, you responded. So here's the thing. Based on what me and Elliot are saying, okay, that even if our understanding is not like we don't completely remember everything that we read in the Bible. You know that me and Elliot know about Christianity just based on this conversation more than 99% of Christians. You know that we have an understanding of the Bible and what's in it, okay? More than most Christians do. But what was the specific point? Because I suspect that you wanted to suggest to our audience that we are lying about reading the Bible. Yeah. Do you really think that me and Elliot were lying about the fact that we read the Bible? And was that your intention by saying, like, you guys read the Bible, you tell me? Because let me tell you something. Most people who have read the Bible would not have the same answer that you had. These are all based on interpretations. If you say what Paul's argument is, most people that read the Bible every single day would not come up with the specific same answers that you just came up with here. Yeah. People would have different interpretations.
I thought he was going to go the route you were saying, Armin, which is, well, Paul mentions the 500. I thought that was going to be the route. So honestly, yeah. But hey, look, James, real quick, okay? I know. For many, many viewers out there, they could say this call wasn't perfect. They could say, hey, maybe this call wasn't really that fucking good at all. Okay? I think we have established a baseline, and I think when you give us a call back in the future, I think we will have even better conversation, okay? So please feel free. Give us a call back in the future. We would love to talk with you some more. And again, if you call back, okay? If you call back, which I hope you do, please feel free to say to the call screener when you call, hey, man, last time I called, SR said he wanted me to call back, and he was going to start off the conversation by giving me a full fucking minute to say everything I had to say, because we will absolutely do that, man. We will give you that time and we will let you talk. But when we have disagreements, we are going to definitely push back, man. So, but give us a call back in the future, James. Thank you so much. I do greatly appreciate it. And speaking of appreciation, I would like to send out a very heartfelt, a very deep, deep appreciation for not only all of the work that our amazing, incredible crew does behind the scenes, but mostly for putting up with my crap and Armin's crap. Can we see that gorgeous, gorgeous crew? Such an incredible group of people that constantly are disappointed with myself and Armin and think, why did we do this? What's going on? Like, why is this just, why can't we please bring Kelly back? Which, speaking of, could we get our wonderful backup host, Mr. Kelly Laughlin himself, up here? Holy crap, Kelly, have you been back there the whole time, brother? Oh, you're muted. See?
Oh, you're muted.
I know, and you come on and you it's like you've never done this before, man. What are you? Come on, man. You're pulling a Johnny right now.
He can't
You're
hear
still
you.
muted. You're still muted. Unmute yourself.
You know what? And I thought I did unmute myself. That's crazy. Because I pulled a Johnny on Talk Even earlier, and I honestly thought I clicked it, and apparently I didn't. But I have been hiding behind you this whole time.
That's good. That's good. A lot of people think it's a wall back there behind me and a bookshelf behind Armin. It is, in fact, now you know, Kelly.
It's my office.
What do you think, man? What do you think? What was there a favorite call you had? Was there a favorite point you had? Give us some thoughts, man.
I would, because the scientist in me was intrigued by this fourth generation of water.
Right.
And while you guys were talking to the next caller, I went and actually did a little bit of research into that. Mm-hmm. And there really is no such thing as a fourth generation of water.
Oh, shit.
But there is a fourth phase of water that they found that is not liquid, vapor, or what was the other one? I don't remember. But but it only occurs on a molecular level on surfaces that love water.
Kelly?
And what they found is that this can actually make water flow across through, like if you get a tube that's
we're getting too much detail.
Well, sorry.
No. Well, because
right.
I'm glad you established. You did some looking. Now I know you don't have a perfect understanding, but Kelly, off the top of your head, did it ever mention telepathy?
No, it did not. And I was specifically looking for telepathy.
That's what we want to do.
Well, there you go. Hey,
okay, Kelly. But here, this is when my version bees have chromosomes. They have 13 of them, and the chapter 13 of the Quran
Shut
is
up.
the bee
Stop
chapter.
this. Do not take the Shahada. Do not do this, folks. Do not do this. Don't listen to Armin. Don't listen to Armin. Get him out of here. You know what? Instead of doing that, instead of reading through about bees that can talk to each other and whatnot, instead of looking
Except the
up for
queen,
fourth generation, shut up. Instead of looking for all of this stuff, why not over the next week think of the best answer for the question of the week this week, which is, what is Jesus's secret hobby? Get your answers in the comment section under the video, and then make sure to check us out next week right at the beginning, because we are gonna talk about our favorite.
I think he's polishing nails.
Polishing nails. So I was gonna go a route, but you know, I have made it this whole episode without a self-love reference, right? And I was doing so good, but you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I mean, he's got the holes already, right? Oh my
right? God!
I mean, what is he?
No!
What's his favorite? Come on! I mean, it's obviously that's the. Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. You can be disappointed with me and Armin as well.
That's hot.
Oh my gosh.
You filthy.
They're not letting us back on.
Person.
They're not letting us back on. That's it. That was our last show.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.